what's the advice, right? That next step to go into that right direction.
Trust yourself, learn how to fail, and keep it simple. That's all it really takes.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Manuel here at Instant Funding on our YouTube channel. And today we have a very, very, very special guest. We're excited to get to know, excited to speak to. I'm here with Nick today, who's hitting an incredible milestone. Congratulations, Nick. He's about to receive over $100,000 on a payout. First off, Nick, welcome. Congratulations. How you doing? How you feeling?
Good. I feel great. Excited to finally get the payout. Was kind of stressing about it, but yeah, no, I feel great.
Nick has been with us. He has been paid out before. He's got over, I believe, over $10,000 with us before. So Nick is a profitable, consistent trader, but he's about to get one of his biggest payouts ever. So how does it feel to be on the verge of a six-figure payout, arguably life-changing payout?
I mean, it feels real good because, it just gives me such an opportunity to, like work with that money and continue to grow it just with other investments and, hopefully hit some other big trades in the market. That's exciting for me, kind of just speed up the growth a little bit. So I'm excited for that. But, it took a lot of work to like get that. Like I do want people to know, like, it doesn't seem as easy as it is to get something like that to happen. Like it takes a lot of time and a lot of failing to get that. So it feels really good.
So before we dive into strategy, because I'm sure the world thinks there's a secret, right, to how you accomplish this. So before we get to the secret, right, tell us how you got started with trading, how long you've been trading, and what has got you to this moment.
So I started trading during COVID. So I turned 18. I was graduating high school, started messing around with like all the GameStop and AMC stuff. So that's like really how I got into it. Like I've had a similar trade like this happen before when I was younger. Like I actually hit like on a penny stock. I think it was up like 13,000%, and I didn't sell it. I wrote it from like half a cent up to $1, didn't sell it. And I think I ended up cashing it out around like 15, 20 cents. So like, that loss like stuck with me for a long time. That was like a big thing here too. Like that's why I decided to I needed to get out because I wasn't going to do it again. So I was messing around with penny stocks. I was trading like blue chip stocks. And then eventually I started getting into options, and I was a big options trader for about 2 or 3 years. And then I finally switched to like Forex and futures. I noticed I wasn't necessarily wrong a lot with like the way the stock or whatever it was would be moving, but my timing would be wrong. So with like the futures and the Forex stuff, like I can hold through that downtrend, which to me is huge. So that's increased like my win rate by a lot.
So you took this big loss, or still profitable, right? But big loss and unrealized gains
Correct.
when you were trading penny stocks. So you changed to options, you end up here. We'll get into what you actually trade. But how were you able to overcome that? Because that stays with you, right? That stays in your head. That creates probably self-doubt. Oh, I'm a loser. Why didn't I take the profit? Blah, blah, blah. All the stuff we say to ourselves. Did you bring that into the next playing field, would be options and Forex? How were you able to fully, if you have, right, fully eliminate it?
I guess one big thing that like actually one of my friends told me is like you can't go broke taking profits. So it's like, at the end of the day, like I was sitting there like, all right, I'm hitting 200-300%ers, 50, 60%ers, but like those 10 to 20% gains like are all really what you need. If you know how to leverage out, like, so that was a big thing for me. I started introducing stop losses, like a big thing for my strategy. If I go in the profit, like I'm moving my stop loss up with my profit. But yeah, like it stuck with me for a while. Like I didn't get past that unrealized gain for 2 or 3 years. Yeah, it stuck with me. I think one way that I really overcame it was like just realizing like you need to fail. It was like a necessary evil. Like it's all fun. Like it seems great to like, win everything, but like you can't win all the time. I sit there and I'm like, okay, yeah, I did this and it sucked for a long time. But as time goes by, you kind of start seeing it as more of an opportunity than a failure. So that was big for me.
Is that conversation, right, the with when it comes up, is that just kinda like a deep dive with yourself? I don't know, maybe like journaling, what you've been through maybe in your personal life, or do you like hear that like seed somewhere, maybe like on a podcast, on an audiobook, something like that? How do you realize those thoughts?
A little bit of both. Like you have to have people installing it in you. Like it helps to have, other people around you that are like kind of cheering you up. Like it's okay. Like, get it next time kind of thing. You see things on like big CEOs of big companies talking about very similar situations, but like, in the business world where they fail and they restart. Like it's like Elon Musk. I mean, that dude's gone through so much shit and here he is. Like I like to take everything with like a real world view. So I kind of like to apply it as much as I can to like what I do here. I think that trading is more psychological than anything else. Losses they're good. Some like you need them.
When you started, right, on the right foot, you can say, right? Did you start knowing that this would possibly turn into a long process? Or were you kind of expecting like quick results?
I was expecting quick results because I got quick results. So that was tough too because, like with COVID, like no, it didn't matter what you bought. Like it went up. That was hard to overcome for a while, but I'm glad I stuck with it for a long time because I don't think I could have been doing what I'm doing now. I love trading. Like I would love to do it all the time. Unfortunately, I won't be able to, which sucks unless I become very profitable. Yeah, like I'd say the longer I go with it, the more I just realize that it is a slow paced game of just, like compounding your money. That's a big thing too, like just being smart with your money. It's nice to buy nice things. And that's one thing I'm worried about with this, like this big payout. Like I want to go spend it, but probably not. So
Right, right.
keep it rolling.
So let's talk strategy. Give us an overview, a core principle, your edge, right? How do you approach the markets?
I'm a swing trader for sure. I used to trade intraday a lot. And I mean, I'd see profit, but a lot of the time I'd end up giving it right back. So that was a big problem I faced with that. Whereas, so with the swing trading stuff, I use fib levels a lot. Fib retracements and like the Elliot wave strategy are like big for my plays, I would say. Like, I like spotting like resistance levels, like in breakouts over long time frames. Like I'll use like the 15-minute to like enter, and then I'll go into like the 4 hour and daily for my like take profit and stop losses.
Identify swing trading, right? Is that as points, pips, days, weeks? What is a swing trade for you?
Usually weeks, days to weeks, maybe even months, depending on how I believe the trade will play out. Like the trade that I hit here was actually, I've been watching that for months. Like that's another thing. It's, you don't get rich overnight. The big volume strikes happen over long periods of time. And that was one thing that I also learned. Like I actually watch a YouTuber, his name is FX Pip Collector, and he releases like Elliott wave strategies all the time. And he was actually a big factor in the way I started like changing my strategy, like because he was helpful with like spotting these resistance levels and going in depth with all that. So like now I can apply that to basically any chart that I see. That really helps. Like don't be afraid to go out and watch other people explain this stuff on YouTube and whatever. But yeah, like weeks to months to days, it's really just kind of varies on how I think the trade will play out, how I see it moving. Like I'm not much of a technical person, but like I really just trade on like resistance levels is a big thing for me.
So you said you were an intraday trader. It sounds like you had success in that, but you would end up giving it back. Because I believe, right, most of the traders we've spoken to here, probably most traders you come across, they're intraday traders, right? Monday through Friday, daily, rack up the wins as you go. Didn't work for you. Give us a little bit of how the switch happened.
I just felt like I would be chasing, like I was never content with my profit. So that was tough for me. I'd be watching minute candles and I'd cash out. And then I'd start watching it rip and I'm like, oh my God, like it's doing, because like I've kind of combined both strategies for a long time. So I'll be sitting on longer stuff while I'm intraday trading. So like I'll see it move and I'm like, oh, I gotta get in. and, flips out, hits resistance, drops, hits stop loss super fast. So like I just think intraday trading is very risky in my opinion. I would like it's just not for me. Like it's pretty stressful, I would say. Like compared to what I'm doing, cuz I'm sitting here like not really checking my phone and not really like worrying about like what's happening intraday unless something drastic's happening.
Your intraday trader, right, is maybe, I don't know, a 1-to-1 risk to reward, 2-to-1, I don't know, along those lines, right? Was it difficult for you to make the switch? And you say you don't check your phone, but maybe you're up 100 pips, retraces a little bit, you lose 30 pips, you're back. Like, was that difficult for you at all?
Nope. I don't. You just can't. Just gotta let it go. It's nice looking at your phone one day and being up this, and then the next day you're down that. So like that, yeah, it's frustrating, I guess. But like when you're trading over those long periods of time, like you kind of just like are sitting there like knowing that it's gonna pan out. Like those pips to me mean not don't really mean much because over the course of long periods of time, like it'll be 10x that amount, I would say, Like I think the trade that I hit was like 200,000 pips or something. I'm risking the same amount that these intraday traders are getting 10 pips, 20, 30, maybe 100. But I'm doing it over the course of a few months and probably outperforming majority of them, I would argue, without the stress of it.
The daily stress of showing up to the chart and finding a position, trying to find an entry, everything that goes into play to that. Take us through when it started clicking for you, right? When it's like, okay, Nick, I think we're doing something here. I think we could do this. When did you have that realization?
Probably about a year ago. I got pretty confident with it. So with my own capital, I've been pretty confident with it. When I got into prop firms, I would say probably about 2 months ago, because I have to sit within particular drawdowns. That was a big change for me, because like with my own capital, I can risk what I want. So that was a big change. But yeah, I would say about 2 months ago, I really figured out a pretty good strategy. Just moving your stop loss is like a big thing. Like I would say, like that's saved me so much money. Just because like I'll be up intraday and I'll just, bump my stop loss up a little bit. And then like a big volume strike will come in and tank the market like a CPI and like some sort of news. And I'll trigger, but I'll still be in profit. So that's nice. Yeah, about 2 months ago, it really it clicked for me, I'd say.
What do you trade? Are you one pair person, multiple pairs? How do you decide what do you trade?
I'll trade anything really. I'm a big crypto trader right now. That helps. At least for the last few weeks, that definitely helps. I started off trading like the euro and the USD JPY. Then I got into gold and silver. Gold, I still really like to trade gold. Gold's fun. I love trading Bitcoin and I love trading Solana and XRP. They're just like, there's a lot of value. Like there's big lot sizes and they move. So I like that.
You briefly said you don't rely on technicals too much. So does that mean fundamentals plays a bigger role versus technical?
My big edge, I would say, is like really just entering and exiting on resistance levels. Another thing I was told too is you enter where you put your stop loss. So that one also helps. Like, it's just identifying resistance levels, like using your fibs and moving averages. I do like RSI. Like those three things are the only things I'll ever look at. And, I like to keep it simple. I don't like to add too much into it or overthink too much. Just whatever feels comfortable for me at that specific moment in time when I'm entering or exiting. So no, I would say fundamentals help. Like trading is one of those things, like it's kind of just individualized to each person. Like, you build your strategy based on your own thought process. So, and I think that's kind of what I've done. And that's kind of what I would like want other people to realize. Like, it's one thing to listen to like everyone, but it's another thing to like, come across your own strategy and like build your own edge. So it's pretty hard for me to like articulate what I do sometimes because like sometimes I really don't even know how I'm entering and exiting. But it's just like, it's just like a feeling I get half the time and, a few things align. I just like taking trades based on that.
I love what you said, right? Because what you're saying is all right, beginner stuff. Support and resistance, trend lines, RSI, fibs, Elliot wave. And right now, probably arguably the last couple years, there's been a saturation, right, of people who say that doesn't work, right? Oh, that doesn't work, support and resistance, blah, 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 blah. And then we have you here and other traders, right, who are profitable using these things, support and resistance, right? It's you have half people who use it and the other half people who say, oh, it doesn't work. But it works on both sides. And is great to hear because a lot of people sometimes they like the simplicity of it, right? The simplicity of just a support and resistance, a trend line. But they might hear somebody say, oh, I don't want to throw words out there, that doesn't work, right? Then they, oh, but it was working for me, but you say it doesn't work. Now maybe they did have a strategy, right? But now they have to switch it because they're listening to somebody else, just because it's the beginner stuff. When we have Nick here, right, about to get $100,000 payout, and it works for him. I love to hear that because a lot of traders we get to know, they shy away from that stuff because they hear it everywhere that it just doesn't work.
I think that goes with the stuff I was saying with switching from intraday to swing. Like, I think that's a big reason why a lot of people think it doesn't work is because you're looking at a short time frame. And I think that's like a big problem. Like, you can trade intraday swings, I guess. Like, you can be like, all right, like RSI is crossing, like everything matches up the way it's supposed to, but you're trading 1 minute candles. So it's like you're not gonna break out where you want to. You're gonna like tap down to back where your levels are. It's just like when in doubt, zoom out.
Just go ahead, just show us your strategy. I know you said you trade crypto for the most part.
Yeah.
So, just take us through your mindset, how you approach the market, how you look for positions.
My strategy, as I was saying in the previous interview, it's not very, I don't know, it's not very complicated to an extent. Like, I'll use the moving weight average and the RSI, and that's about it. I like zooming out on these longer time frames, like the 4 hour, the daily, and the weekly. Like, definitely help me like judge like breakouts and like get a pretty good idea of like what resistance levels we have. Like, if we look at XRP, we take it up to the top.
Or do you always approach the market on a weekly mindset? Is that like the first step?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I like looking at the longer time frame. Like, even right now for this example, so that cross in the moving weight average, and then this cross down here on the RSI moving weight average. So these two things match up perfectly. So this cross is bullish, this cross is bullish. And now you look at your fibs, we're touching this 89% fib level. So we're holding resistance around 90 cents. In past trends, kept rejecting off of it, holding still on this bottom part. And now we're just going to probably hover here until, in my opinion, we probably move higher since we have confirmation on these tools such as like moving weight average and RSI.
Right.
And then if you move it down to like a 4 hour time frame, it's the same kind of thing. You just kind of get like a better look at it. So like you see, we kind of almost ran up and touched this other fib level and came back down. So now we're just going to be testing resistance, probably like consolidating between this level for a while until we get some confirmation either down or up. But as I was saying, like when you zoom out and look at these indicators, like clearly we're in a bull market. So I would say like I'm looking for longs. You look down at the weekly.
Do you participate in all crypto markets or you just have a couple you like trading in?
Just a couple I like trading. I really like to trade XRP, Cardano, and Doge, just because I find a lot of value in those lots. Like they're 1 to 10,000. So if I'm trading like ETH or like Sol or Bitcoin, like it's like 1 to 1 or 1 to 2 or whatever it may be.
Okay.
I like trading these pairs because there's a lot more leverage and they'll move faster. And like I kind of like using Bitcoin as like almost like a ETF. So it's like, all right, like this is my indicator. Like we're bearish today. I can come out and look at all of them, and we're basically doing that exact same trend. So I kind of base a lot of my trades off of Bitcoin because at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff moves with it. So that's been helpful for me too, because I can kind of like, compare trends across whatever pair it is. So that's one thing that I like about Forex and stuff in general is like a lot of the pairs are pretty correspondent of each other. Like even when I trade USD, JPY or Euro, like they're kind of an inverse to an extent.
So if you were a Forex trader, your Bitcoin is kind of like your DXY in a way.
Correct. Yeah, that's like my ETF of, or like, yeah, DXY is a good way to explain that.
Gotcha.
That's why I started even going long, is because Bitcoin has like one of the cleanest setups I've ever seen right now. So now we're in this wave three. I think that will go up to about 150, pull back, and then come up to like 280. So I think we'll do something like this, so that, incorporate your Elliott wave strategy. So you can see like your wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up or down. We got that cross again. You can apply that to, bearish movements too. Like you can look right here, cross down, come to another bull movement, 2020, cross up. It's pretty simple if you keep it on a very long period of time, as I do at least. Like I like to trade over weeks to months, and it's simply because of this. Like, and here's even another one right here. This is the best entry you probably could have had, right there to right there. These indicators are like my bread and butter.
Either on the chart you're looking at, or if you recall how your setup was for your biggest win, show us your your entry model, how you would place the entry, how you would place the stop loss.
I was tracking Doge for a while. Like I saw this big spike up and put this fib level up, and this was basically my entry. So if I come down into this like 30-day movement, I watch it spike up, correct? So I come out here, I look, I got my confirmation we're going up. So now we're in this consolidation period, and I see that we're holding this level right here.
So right now, this is just all analysis. This is you just in the bushes
Yeah,
waiting for an entry.
correct. Got to be patient. I'm sitting here, I watch it spike up, I'm watching it reverse down, but now I see it retesting this low level.
So just right, because I think a lot of people are going to be curious, right? You're sold, right, on the bullish market. You're anticipating the buy.
For now, correct.
You see that first spike up. Do you get any type of, FOMO?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So like, yeah, like, don't get me wrong. I mean, when you look at it, it's 150% movement, but at the same exact time, like based on these long periods, like it rejects right off the bottom fib level. If it can't break through here, then I don't really see it doing much. And then my biggest thing on why I even entered the trade to begin with is because I watched it test this level. It came back down to this level right here. We're holding above like all of this consolidation right here. So we come up, come down, retest, and then shoot up. So like that's a pretty common movement, at least I've noticed in the past, like a break and retest. So like that's always a big confirmation for me as well.
How much of that is strategy versus experience?
It's a lot of experience, I would say. Yeah, it's a lot of experience. There's a little bit of strategy involved, just because obviously like I'm still basing my trades off this technical analysis at the end of the day. A lot of it has to do with my experiences in the past, just because like, I mean, I'll sit here and watch stuff all day. Like even Bitcoin back in its last bull run, like, come up, doesn't break a fib, comes back down, retests a low, comes back for an ATH. Same kind of vibe here, run up, test level, comes down, runs up to ATH. So like if you're sitting on long enough time frames, I would argue that these indicators are honestly like very accurate, because, and you can see them. The only thing I would say is they're regressing tools. So they're not always like completely accurate, in the sense of like they're moving with the market. They're constantly updating and changing. So there's that, like, you have to use like a little bit of your own intuition when looking at this stuff. Like when I entered into my trade here, it's not like this had crossed yet. So I'm sitting here watching it creep closer to this level as it's coming down. So then, like, I want to say I saw the moving weight average go first. And then as soon as I saw the RSI pop above right here, that's when I started entering. So I started entering like on this candle, I would say. That's really all there is to my strategy, I would say. I mean, other than the fact that, like gut feeling sometimes, and I use like my own judgment. But if I was trying to sit down and explain it to someone and what I'm doing, like that's basically it.
So strategy fairly simple, and a lot of it is just chart time, right? Price studying, getting used to the market you're looking at, how it moves, and just, experience, and then trust in that intuition of that experience as well.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't just apply to like just crypto. Like I would like to show like, let's say even if you look at the USD JPY, like, because like I feel like majority of people aren't really trading crypto or probably trading Forex pairs. Even for these guys, like they can come here and do the same exact thing. Like if you come here and look at USD JPY, like cross, bear movement, cross up, bull movement. So like it's pretty easy. It's just like kind of like waiting. Like a lot of it is waiting. And that's like the biggest thing I would stress to people is like I'm probably in a few trades right now, but it's like I'm gonna sit here and wait as long as it may take for it to become profitable or hit my stop loss.
Either one.
Yeah, like, it just takes like a lot of the stress out of it. Like when you play on these longer time frames, I would say.
Right. Maybe a lot of people thought there was a secret trick
Yeah,
you had, right? But, is just experience, just chart time, and just trusting your analysis.
totally. What I would necessarily define my edge is other than the fact that I just like using long time frames with few indicators.
So what about target areas, right? TPs. Do you have straight take profit areas, or do you kind of just go on a monetary value? Like, okay, I'm content with this points, money, whatever it may be.
Usually I'll use like a monetary value incorporated with like a resistance level. Just because I'm such a big bull on crypto right now, I'm thinking we're gonna like, see some crazy numbers. So I've been setting some pretty ridiculous take profit levels. The chances of them hitting are pretty slim, very slim. But it's like I'd rather it be way past my level and watch it run than get triggered and watch it run. So that's like my whole philosophy with that. But no, like if I feel like I've made enough money, like I'll get out for sure.
You're not waiting on that. You can say ego, right? The
Yeah.
the I'm right, right? My This price is gonna get hit. Oh,
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. I dictate. So you're content with a monetary value and you're willing to get out.
Yeah. I feel like I've gotten burned with some take profits before because like, a lot of this stuff too, like even what I was saying, like we'll trade on levels. Like I don't trade on price ranges. Like I like doing resistance points because like if you're trading on a price level, like your take profit will probably get hit and crash or vice versa because there's either going to be a ton of buy orders or sell orders at a price range real close to where you're thinking it's at, and that's going to like dictate the market. Like I've seen it so many times where like, I'll have a take profit caught at $1.25. It'll hit $1.22 and then reverse. So it's like I'm basically right. I'm 3 cents off, but I got screwed because I,
Yeah.
so
Now you give back all that profit just for an extra 3 cents.
exactly. So I don't know. I like trading with the monetary value versus an actual like level. And I would just argue the same with a stop loss.
When you're ready to enter a position, right? Is there a checklist? Is there a criteria? Is there like a minimum amount of things that should have happened already? How do you decide when, like, okay, here, I'm pulling the trigger here?
One thing I really like to look for is if I see the RSI cross bullish and the moving weight average cross bullish on a weekly candle, like I'm entering every time.
You don't need any other confirmation besides that. That's enough for you.
Yeah, that's enough for me. And that's like what I did with this, like that trade. Like if you look at anything like XRP, Doge, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Sol, all of them, they all crossed on the weekly and they all spiked up like 50 to 100%.
Traders sometimes maybe they may have a checklist, right? One thing, two things, three things. They like to build a case, right? Before they enter a position. Can you dictate to probably just experience, right? Knowing chart movement, maybe knowing how price moves. And my checklist isn't checking off, but I just have this instinct, right? That my idea is right.
I would go with your instinct every time because here's the thing, like if you have a checklist that has 5 things on it, like are you actually going to wait for 80% of them to happen? That's going to cost you money. You're going to sit there and just wait for all of those things to align. Like you're basically waiting for stars to align. When they do align, I'm sure it hits and I'm sure you're very profitable in that particular trade, but how often does that really happen? When you're keeping it simple and you're only looking at 2 or 3 indicators, I feel like it's a lot easier for those things to align versus, whatever you're like everyone's looking at. If you're trying to make multiple things align, that just seems kind of difficult to me. Even a lot of these indicators like work against each other to an extent. Depending on what you're using, that could actually be like a bad thing, in my opinion. I think a gut feeling is good enough for me sometimes. Might as well trust yourself. Like, as I said earlier, like you're gonna take some losses. That's gonna help you build your edge. So
Do you have a risk to reward, or do you just have like a target when you enter a position?
usually a target, not really a risk to reward. Stocks, currencies, whatever it may be, just fill gaps on resistance. I think the trade I hit big was Doge, and like I think I wrote it up to like the top fib level, and that's when I sold. If you look at it now, it's just been consolidating right around there. So resistance levels and letting it fill the gap is really like a big thing for me. Like, hate cheating out, but if you do it, you do it. So
You have multiple accounts you trade, three if I'm not mistaken. If you don't have a risk to reward, right? You just have like a profit. How about risk? Do you have a set number you risk? Do you manage each account differently, different risk? Take us an idea through your risk management.
kind of the same way I would set my targets, just like resistance points. So like I like to try and buy like when stuff's bottomed out, obviously. And I usually will set my stop losses at like a next resistance point, like just below it. So if it goes to that point, it won't fill. But if it goes then like just below it, then it'll stop. That's usually how like I set a stop loss because like risking a percent like is smart. And I would argue like I'm wrong in that instance. Like it's probably better to do it that way, especially for these kind of like the prop firm accounts. Like it's definitely better to do it as a risk percentage, but sometimes it always doesn't work out like that for me. So I usually do like a dollar amount. We'll set a stop loss, between a few $100s and maybe 1,000 if I'm holding it like very long term. All those levels are basically based off of lower resistance, but below my entries.
And is each account managed the same way? Do you have an account maybe you're a little bit riskier with? You kind of,
I would say they're all pretty basically risk. I manage them pretty similar. They trade about the same stuff. I'm pretty sure two of them were almost mimicked. And then the third, I think I was diversified into like gold and silver and a few other things. So, like, I think that's the way I like to do it. I'll keep two that are I see for long-term swing, and then like one I'll kind of hedge out on some other stuff and not go all in on something.
did you just end up with multiple accounts? Was that a strategy you had to get multiple accounts? How did multiple accounts come to play? Is it difficult for you to manage multiple accounts at all?
I'd say, to be honest, it's fairly easy just because my strategy is fairly easy because I don't really like go intraday. So like my stuff, I take an hour, I'll set it up and I won't look at it. That to me, it's fairly easy. As for like acquiring the accounts, honestly, I just wanted as much funding as I could. I got to the point where I knew I could probably take advantage a lot more than I was doing with my own money. So I kind of just figured that the best route for me is to like seek funding because I was confident enough in my strategy.
You have risk management rules, right? Where you place your stop loss, right? You have an idea of where you're cutting your losses. I'm sure there's times you've let the losers run, right?
Yeah, I have 100%.
Take us through that, right? Have you let the losers run while being profitable? Is that something you don't do anymore? How did you eliminate, right? Holding swing losers.
I've breached tons of times. That's no question. It was hard to overcome because like one thing that kept getting me screwed is I kept going long on euro and it would just kept tanking. And I was just so confident in it that it would not keep going down because I felt like it was so cheap. Sure enough, it kept going down until I breached. So that one was a big kick for me that made me kind of realize that I need to stop holding my losses because and start setting stop losses. Like, and that was tough for me too because the whole reason I even got into this is because I switched from my options, which I was saying I wasn't necessarily wrong on the movement, just the timing. So that's kind of like why I was holding. I was like, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. It's going to go up. It's going to go up. And, it just, I was wrong.
So it's an excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, can't get overconfident, have to be a skeptic now sometimes. So I would say that too, like be a skeptic with your own trades. Like don't think they're always going to go to where you think they will. Like after that, I started setting the stop losses and, playing with that, moving them around into like different levels depending on if I'm up or down. So
Here we're interviewing with, I would assume, right, the biggest win you've have of your career. What about the losses, right? Has there been a loss, right, so big, maybe not $100,000 loss, right? Maybe you enter a challenge, right, per se, with, full confidence. This is the one, and you breach it, or it can be a monetary number where it just deflates you, right? It takes everything out of you.
I think that was the trade I was talking about earlier, and that was basically the first trade I ever took in my life. First big trade, really. I hit on a few stocks like Neo and stuff for a few $100s, but then I got into that penny stock, and that was the monumental moment. That one stuck with me for years. Like that was a hard one to get through, because like I mean, as a 18-year-old, like you go from literally like I could have bought a Porsche in cash, and then I had like nothing. So that was really hard.
Do you think that's the biggest mistake you have made of your career?
Yeah, by far. It could have been totally avoided with stop loss.
I love the stop loss conversation, right? Hearing you, it sounds like you may have a difficult time manually closing a trade.
Yeah, sometimes you get attached to them.
Yeah, exactly. So when did you realize, you know what? I can't close it myself. I have to start putting this stop loss because I'm sabotaging myself.
Yeah, that was when I got involved in prop. So I breached 2 or 3 accounts, and they were all euros, euro longs. And after that, I was like, all right, like this is what I'm doing. You thought after one I would have learned.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I kept doing it, and it just kind of got way too frustrated with it and decided to like start incorporating it, which, thank God. And I hope like every new person that starts trading like hears that and starts using a stop loss because it sucks.
Yeah. I love hearing your story because, people who may be watching this, they're just going to see the payout, right?
Yeah.
They don't know the tears, the sweat, right? The holes in the wall, maybe the people who have been on the opposite side, right? Of when you just have all this self-doubt from your mistakes. It's super important for them to hear this from a trader, right? Like yourself, who's showing it's possible, who has found consistency with us, maybe other prop firms, like I said earlier, over 10,000 just with us, and now about to get over 100 grand.
I mean, it feels great. Don't get me wrong. Like, trading is very rewarding and very euphoric, but it's also like not easy. And that's what a lot of people don't realize.
Right.
It's a process. So,
We wanted to try something new today, right? With Nick being our biggest payout in our company, right? And we wanted to pull off a live payout here while you're on an interview with us. To make it official, right? Our team, they're ready to process the payout. If I'm not mistaken, if you were to check, right, where you get your payouts, it should be in there in about a couple seconds.
all right, let's check her out. Sorry, I got a ton of screens open.
It should be. I have our team here on the other side. Crypto.
Oh, it was crypto?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Nick, about to get our biggest payout here with instant funding, live on stream. You don't break any rules, right? You follow the rules. You have an edge. You have discipline. You have consistency. You get paid out. And Nick is about to see his biggest payout here live with us. Just in a couple seconds.
Shit. Here it is. Here, should I say? Wow.
Nick, congratulations, brother.
Thanks, man.
I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It's amazing to see the smile on your face.
Yeah, it feels good.
That it's possible is so important, right? For whoever's watching this to know that it's possible, that the tears, the blown accounts, the breached accounts, if you can just get disciplined, right?
Yep.
Because that's all it comes down to. Yes, have your edge, right? Make sure you have a strategy that works. Then after that, you just have to be disciplined to have a moment like this.
Keep it simple.
Man, amazing. I feel like I got paid out with you, Nick, man.
It's awesome.
Congratulations, brother, man. We're proud of you here at Instant Funding.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I think you're probably like almost like at 150 now with here with us.
I think so, yeah, somewhere around there.
The next 100K, when you get 250, part two.
Yeah,
We can
let's
do a
do it.
part two interview.
Hopefully it happens sooner than later.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing, Nick. We're super proud of you here. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. You're proof, right? That as long as you don't violate rules, as long as you don't breach your accounts, you will get paid out.
And I will say that was one thing I was worried about, prop firm, like, sometimes it's kind of sketchy, like waiting for that. And that I'm sure the company knows, like I was worried about it. So,
Right.
and here it is, here's the evidence. So you guys have my full faith.
For traders out there, right? So about 4 or 5 years now experience, same time as you, maybe more, maybe less. They want to replicate it. You've instilled a brand new faith in many traders, including myself. What's the advice, right? That next step to go into that right direction?
Trust yourself, learn how to fail, and keep it simple. That's all it really takes.
Mistakes, right? Outside looking in, right? I don't know if you have friends who trade with you, a community, mistakes you've seen other traders make.
I've seen a lot of big mistakes. I got friends who they work on like trading desks and stuff, and they'll show me some losses that their bosses and other people are taking. Like these guys are making huge, like hundreds, thousands of dollar mistakes, like on these trading desks, and like they still show up every day and come back. That's one thing I'd say. That's my biggest piece of advice is like learn how to lose.
We're wrapping up, right? Our most profitable payout here at Instant Funding. Live payout. It's never been done before, right? Besides trading advice, right? Whoever may be watching this, what's your last piece of advice for the trading community, for the instant funding community, for a friend, a family, whoever it may be?
Yeah, learn how to lose. Keep it simple and trust yourself. That's your edge. You are your edge. Take your losses, figure it out, come back.
You guys heard it here from Nick, right? To the trader who is out there, right? You don't have to be the biggest influencer on Instagram, on YouTube. You don't have to have the Lamborghini. You're just normal traders, right? Who go through the same process of years of failure. They obtain the same thing. Stop being so blinded, right? Thinking that you're not successful, right? Until you have the Ferrari, because it's not true. Nick just got $100,000 payout, right? The 5 years of his losses, of his failure, of his tears, the holes in the wall, it's all worth it now.
And I can tell you, I'm not going to go get no Ferrari.
Yeah, yes. No Ferrari coming.
Nope, not anytime
He
soon.
can do it, right? When he started the interview, he said that he was just going to manage it and reinvest it back into himself because he didn't want to make any foolish purchases. He said it before he even got paid out. Nick, it was a pleasure. You've inspired me. You've inspired anybody who watched this interview, who was hearing your story. Thank you so much for taking your time for instant funding, for the trade-in community. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your skill set. It's been a pleasure to have you here with us, consistently being paid out. 250K marker, right? We're coming right back. We agreed to
Yep.
it already. We wish you the best, Nick. We wish you more profitability. We wish you more payouts. and we're very grateful for your time today.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it too. Like without the firm, I couldn't have had this money, so I appreciate it.
Nick, best of luck, my brother, and we'll see you in a couple months again.
Yeah, hopefully. That's the plan.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
All right, you too, man. Thank you.